Today is the first session on UI technologies. Presently, we are discussing web UI. Here, we are discussing web UI technologies here, web UI technologies. Under this, we are going to see first topic of our course is HTML 4, and after that, I'll move on to the HTML5. Second topic is CSS 2 and 3. Third topic is on JavaScript. Here JavaScript. Here fourth one is jQuery. Here fifth one is Ajax. Here sixth one is responsive design. Then seventh one will be Bootstrap. Here eighth one will be less and SAS programming. Here ninth one will be project. Generally, I'll explain all these topics in our course. Okay. Here now I'm going to show you how to work with all these technologies in UI here, and how to use all these things in front-end programming. So mainly in front-end programming, what is the use of all these? I'm going to discuss it. Here, UI here, it is a user interface, user interactive page. We can create user interactive page. Here we can create user interactive page. That user interactive page should work with, here it should work, that user interactive page we are creating here, that user interactive page, here let me save 8:30 p.m. yeah, here let me save today's date 25th April 2028. Yeah. Here real-time project, one live project I'll explain here in the 9th topic. Here responsive design, lessons as Bootstrap, these all topics I'm going to cover you in our course. UI, every human being using software application to pay their electricity bill, to purchase any item. So like that, everyone is looking for websites. So here, that website, if suppose if I'm searching for, I want to pay LRS. Like this, Me Seva application. I want to look for Me Seva. I want to buy a property. So like that, registrations. Me Seva registrations, like that will do that type of things. We can do it with websites. So human interactive page, we call it as UI. UI in the sense it is an user interactive page. We can create user interactive page with this UI. Under this UI, we are going to see how we can create this user interactive page. This user interactive page, here suppose if I write it here google.com, that google.com we can easily create it. Here I'm creating google.com. That Google site, if I'm interacting with a Google site, that Google site site should interact with a server application. You can see when I search for Google, here you can see that home page of the Google and the search option. Here if I am searching for something, I want to search for lion. Here I'm searching for lion. So when I click on search button, after entering my keyword, if I click on the search button, my user interactive page, this is human interactive page. Human interactive page, or you can call it as user interface. This user interface or a human interactive page, this front-end page, this UI page or a human interactive page or this front-end page always interact with. Here this front-end page always interact with a server page. This front-end page always it has to interact with a server page. Once I click on the search button of this application, it always has to go for the server page. In this server page, what we do, here in this server page, we'll do here, we will interact with either Java page or a .NET page or a PHP page or a Python page, like that. Any one programming will use it. So as of now, we understood any web page, whatever you see, that is one front-end page. Result will, from your front-end page, if you are interacting, if you are submitting something there, it will redirect you to, it will connect you to the next page. That page also is a front-end page, but that front-end page is interacting with a server page. Always front-end page has to interact with the server page. This server page here, suppose if my user page is interacting with a server page, this server page has to interact with the database. Here this server page has to interact with the database. Here the databases are MySQL is one database, SQL Server is one database, MySQL, SQL Server, or MongoDB. MongoDB is one database. Like that, we'll use here all databases. Any one database will we use to store our results or retrieve our results. We can retrieve our results from the server page. We can interact with the server page. Server to database. We can store our results in database. We can retrieve our data from the database. Suppose if you see here facebook.com, that Facebook page, if I click on that submit button, after entering my details, I'll enter something, Here if I click on submit button, it will redirect to next page. Here this is one front-end page, user interactive page. So after clicking on the submit button, again it is redirecting to server page. This page is interacting with your server page. So whenever my page is interacting with a server page, so server has to interact with our application. I mean, see here, till now it is we waited for result, but here with this name there is no employee. So that's why it's giving like this. Here ASDF, if I search for ASDF, so it is not showing any result for me. It's giving a password incorrect, forgotten password, something it is giving like this. So from here I can understand, if I enter username password, so if I submit my application, my data will be submitted to server page. So in this time, if I am submitting my details to server page, so what happened here? Here if I am submitting my result to server page, in this time my page is interacting with the server page. Server will access the results from the database. Server has to interact with the database. Front-end page has to interact with server page. These all interactions you can see in every web page. Here, if I am searching for something, if I am trying to log in, if I am trying to log in here, login time. So what we are doing here, if I am login, if I am searching for login screen, so what happened here if I am searching for login? Here if I search for login, I have to enter correct username password. I cannot able to store my results, or I cannot able to interact with my application if I enter wrong details. If I enter wrong details, I cannot interact with any of the application. Sound is low. Sound is low. Can you hear me now? Swaroop. Shiva Prasad, can you hear me now?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
Yeah, someone said my voice is low.
No, it's clear.
Yeah. Okay. Sound is too less. Okay. Yeah. Here, if I'm interacting with my application, username, password, after clicking on the submit button of username and password, once I click on submit button, so it will interact with your server page. So every web application, you may interact with Amazon.com, Flipkart.com, or Matrimony.com, or a Facebook.com. Any web page, Twitter, any web page, we have to interact with, our application have to interact with a server. So in this time, what happen? If I am interacting with a server, that server has to So what it has to do, server has to check the result. Whatever we entered, that result has to be checked by the server. If I enter my details, server here, Java page or a .NET page or a PHP page comes under server programming. What server will do? Server will retrieve the data from HTML pages, front-end pages. It will interact with the server application. Server here, front-end page has to interact with the server application. In that server time, so front-end page is interacting with the server page. Server page, what it has to do? Server page, it has to check its result. Whatever entered by the user, that data it has to check. That data it has to check from the database. That is the duty of server. Server pages, we can develop it by Java, .NET, PHP, any programming language we use. So I'll show you 3 different sites. Here, facebook.com. In this time, you can see here if I enter long details. See, I enter login.php. See, you can see here that login.php is like this. Here, that login.php is like this. Here, this is one front-end page. But after submitting my page, it is interacting with your PHP server page. So Facebook page is one page. It is interacting with your server page. Here, yes, any dot? 1 second. Yeah, thank you. Here, front end page. Here, whatever we submit. Here, if I am submitting my data has to submit to server page. In this time, what I am doing here, if I enter my details, if it is wrong or right, it has to interact with the server page. Here, if I enter my correct details, so by that I can able to interact with the server page has to interact with database. In the database, server page will check for result. If the result is available, if the server is available, if the server is with if the database table is available in the database, if it is with some data, that data we can access it from our server page. So that way we generally do interaction with the server. Here, main thing is user interface has to interact with server has to interact with database. This is what totally MVC architecture. What is our final goal? What we can design it? If we learn these all programmings, what is our final designing? See, this is one front end Facebook. Front end page is interacting with the server page, that is PHP page. Database, maybe MySQL, maybe Oracle, maybe SQL Server, any database we can use. Here, Oracle create account. Oracle create account page. See here. Oracle create account page. Create account page. Now you can see here. Here, Oracle create account. Here, now you can see here. If I click on that create account, see here. See, if I click on that create account, I can able to see that error pages. Without any data, if I submit it, it is giving error pages. The error messages. These error messages are also because of our front-end programming. So in this time, without any data, if you submit it, it won't redirect to server. So it will be in the front-end page only. So it will be in the front-end page. From the front-end page only, it will interact. Here, what I'm explaining here, front end is nothing but it's a user interface. This user interface has to interact with database. Oracle create account is one more front end page. It's a user interface. This user interface is interacting with JSP. By this URL, we can understand it is using that Java programming, that is JSP. Here it is using that Java programming as JSP. Here JSP works as a server programming. Here JSP works like a server programming. From this server programming, we can work out. Okay. So here this way we can interact. Front end page has to interact with the server page. Server has to interact with database. That way generally will interact with our application. Now here I'm interacting with the server page. Server is interacting with database. Now I'll show you how can we work out with here this front end page, how it is interacting with server. That server is our Java page. Then third one, here we are interacting with if you see here W3 schools, this is one front end page. This front end page is interacting with the server page. Here from here, if I search for anything here, learn HTML, you can see that it is one learning website. Here you can see that how the code. See ASP. Here also you can see top menu, bottom menu, left menu, right menu, everything you can see. You can see content, you can see buttons, all. But here server page. This is one front end page. This front end page is interacting with a server page, that is ASP. ASP in the sense it is the active server page. Here ASP is nothing but it's an active server page. Active server page. Active server page here .NET. Active server page is nothing but it's a .NET programming. We are using here .NET programming to develop this type of output. Here HTML page is interacting with the PHP page. HTML page is also interacting with a server page like this. So this way we can develop our output. Here this is about the front end programming. Always front end programming has to interact with this front end programming has to interact with the server page. Server has to interact with database. These to and fro interactions we generally created with our front end to database, database to server. Server will give you result as the front end page. So this type of interactions you can see in every programming. It may be mobile application, desktop application, or a tab. For any application, you can see that same type of interaction. Front end page has to interact with server. Server has to interact with database. One second. Thank you. Some emergency. Yeah. Okay, fine. Here, front-end page is interacting with a server page. Server is interacting with database. This type of interactions we can do it with our front-end programming. See what is our, as of now we understood PHP is there, Facebook page, server pages PHP, but front-end is our HTML. W3 schools pages, front-end is HTML, server page will be ASP.NET. Oracle create account page, front-end is HTML page, server page will be ASP.NET. Like that, everywhere we have server programming. Here also we have server programming. Front-end programming has to interact with server programming, then only we can access database results. Here, as of now, I explain here, UI is nothing but it's a combination of all these. But present development is not only on these topics, it is something extra. Here under JavaScript, we have so many frameworks. Nowadays, we have so many frameworks in JavaScript. If you want to be a front-end developer, you have to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, as well as you have to know that server-side coding. We have to know front-end programming. So complete front-end programming we have to know. Along with this, we have to know at least one server, at least one JavaScript framework. If we know any one of the JavaScript framework, then only it will be helpful. Here under JavaScript, under JavaScript we have so many frameworks. Those frameworks are here. One is Angular framework, or React.js. Second one, any one it is enough, React.js or Node.js. So if you know any one of the server programming, then only it will be helpful to develop our application. But here in our course, I am going to cover you these all. Only these things I am going to cover you in our course. Here duration for this course will be 40 to 45 hours of sessions I am going to take. Okay, here I am going to cover all these topics in our course, and I am going to cover you these all front-end programmings. Tomorrow class I'll explain what all sound. I think Swarup, you only getting sound problem. I am audible for all. Yeah, here Swarup not audible. Check your network, sir. Check your Swarup. Check your network. Here front-end programming we understood. Here under this we have all this. Now I'm going to show you. Here I explain here front-end programming. This is comes under server programming. Under this we have all these frameworks also we have to know. If we know frameworks, then only it will be helpful. Now I'll explain to you how to work with I'll show you some samples. Tomorrow I'll start explaining each topic. Here now I'm explaining some example here, plink.com or that ABG drinks website. Some drinks website we have. The drinks website, if you check it, here it is not like this. Here some user interactive page we can create it here. How it will be, I'll show you. Here AVEC drinks. So this is one attractive user interface. When I go down, you can see here every refreshing time theme will change. See here, if I refresh it again, theme will change. Here when I click down, see can will come up and content will move backside like this. See how the content is rotating, how the content is moving up. This is all possible by front-end programming. You can create water rippling effect. Here water ripples in jQuery. Here in generally when I explain jQuery.com, that time I'll explain to you how to create that water rippling effects, water wave movements, how we can create it. I'll show you. Yeah, according to your, see how the wave movements. See here, see how the waves are coming. Like this, we can create water wave movements. Okay. Water wave movements, all we can create it like this. So this way we can create. Yeah, here like this way I'll explain to you some example sites in tomorrow session. I'll continue tomorrow on the continuation of our topic. Okay, I'll continue tomorrow at 8:30 only, sharp 8:30. I'll start your session up to 9 o'clock. I'll end your session for demos time. Regularly it will be 9 to 10. Generally I'll start your class at 9 a.m. I'll end your class at 10 a.m. Okay, here for this week we'll continue on 8:30 to 9:30. Thank you.